Let's talk about Archie. Archie was created by Vic Bloom and Bob Montana in 1941 and made his debut in Pep Comics 22, released in December of 1941. His stories are being released even to this day by Archie Comics, a company that releases only a handful of comics. They did have a Mega Man comic that was really good, but unfortunately it got cancelled. And Sonic the Hedgehog, a comic from 1992 until this year. It was one of the biggest comic adaptations from a game, but it was cancelled. If you want to read the Sonic comics, start from issue 252. There is a big story, suing and all those things, and I will talk about it someday. In Greece, it was released in 1989 in small booklets from Matrix Productions. We know our stuff when it comes to names. After that, it was released by Modern Times from the ending of the 1990s and for a few more years. They also released Betty and Veronica, Sabrina, and the classical Archie comic. You may be wondering what kind of stories they have that allow them to be in publication for so many years. There are simple slice-of-life stories of Archie in Riverdale, what he's doing in school, in his house, going out with his best friend Jughead and the two girls who like him. The kind of down-to-earth Betty and the rich and stuck-up Veronica. Those two have been fighting for many years for whom is going to be his girlfriend. Comics. Archie's popularity managed to grow and has created many classic characters and friendship, like the Josie and the Pussycats Band, Sabrina the Witch with her aunts, and many more. I grew up reading many of their comics since their stories were comedic, relaxing, and simple to understand. Recently, Archie Comics decided to reboot them though, with a more modern look and stories, with a few comics of Archie, Betty and Veronica, and Jughead. Of course, a few times they are doing some weird experiments with their crossovers, like Archie vs Predator, Archie vs Sharknado, Archie meets the Panzer, and I can't wait to see the recently announced Harley and Diving with Archie, Betty and Veronica. The weirdest crossover though for me, what would happen if Riverdale had a zombie attack? So let's check it out in this week's comic Afterlife with Art. The comic began in 2013 and until now we have 8 issues. The story is from Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, known from a few Marvel comics like Marvel Knight 4, Sensational Spider-Man, but he has also written a few shows like Glee. The art is from Francesco Francavilla, with works like Zorro, Swamp Thing, Frank Frazetta's Dracula Meets the Wolfman, and many more. The creators made a variant for a normal book of Archie, and they loved it so much that they wanted to turn it into a full-fledged series, creating the Archie Horror imprint. That until now they have 2 series, Afterlife with Archie and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Those stories are part of the same world and there are talks about another series with Josie and the Pussycats. The story begins with Jughead going to Sabrina, wanting to save his dog that unfortunately got run over by a car. Sabrina says that he passed away and they can't do anything for him, but understanding his pain, since she would feel just as bad if the same thing happened to her cat, decides to use the Necronomicon to resurrect Jughead's dog. However, she brings him back as a zombie. Soon after, Riverdale is struck by a zombie apocalypse and many of our characters fall victim to zombies or run for their lives, with great intense scenes, growing as personalities. Also, since Sabrina used dark magic, she's forced to another dimension for a dark purpose. I'm not joking when I'm saying that when I heard that for the first time, I thought it was a joke, since I grew up with relaxing and comedic stories, and I couldn't believe that I could write something as dark as this. But this is simply an amazing job. Francavilla manages to create a dark and frightening world with big shadows and dark moments, with many contrasting elements like the red hair of Art and his symbol on his t-shirt. They manage to present known characters with an extremely different design, but they are easy to understand who is who. Of course, they show many new and great sides of the personality of each one, without going out of character, but with a big amount of logical thinking and reactions. Also, in a story with zombie, you need drama, especially when it comes to friends and established characters, and those moments are wonderfully drawn. Creating a realistic relationship between the zombie and the character that is affected by it. Especially the fourth issue, since it shows the deaths of many known characters that are directed amazingly. Finally, I want to talk about the zombies' behavior, since they have a more organized mind hub, with Jughead being the first victim, having a bright mind, controlling and guiding the others, creating a feeling of being chased, since our heroes try to escape and run away from them. Afterlife with Archie has a few issues released, with the first 6 to have been released in a wonderful trade that completes part 1 of the story Escape from Riverdale. Unfortunately, they don't have a steady release date, so it's kinda hard to follow it, but I suggest to give it a look. Since it's a unique horror comic with a what-if story with characters that we know, but with fresh and good ideas. I'm NDG, and until next time, keep reading!